You're looking at the new Aquila 42, and it's a boat that can just about fly. That's right, it can lift up, go faster, and essentially fly through the water on a wing. I'll show you all about this amazing boat.
I'm Captain Tripp with Boat Test, and today I'm lucky to be aboard the Aquila 42 Coupe. Now this is a new line for Aquila, and one of the things that make it interesting is it has a foil between the hulls, and that comes with a lot of upsides like increased performance and comfort. Now the boat is powered by twin Mercury V10 Verados. Now you may think at initial glance that maybe that's not enough horsepower for this boat. Well, I can assure you, I've been running the boat. She does almost 50 miles an hour, which is plenty for a boat like this. When you have this hull design and with the foil incorporated into it, you can get away with less horsepower, which means better fuel economy. The boat is equipped with a reverso engine flush system, and this deck flips up so that you can trim the engines all the way up out of the water. The foil is located midships between the hulls and is a bit of a U shape, and it protrudes below the keels but is higher than the skegs by about 1 inch. Now there's also double step hull on here for that one more notch of efficiency. Let's do what we really came here for and see how this boat runs on this foil. This boat having a foil between the hulls makes a big difference on a lot of things, and I haven't spotted any negatives yet. But let's see how she handles, and we'll give a little rundown and talk as we're getting up on plane. Right now I have the boat trimmed all the way down. As she starts to get up on plane, right now she's going to be plowing a little bit like all boats, but I'm going to start to trim it up. At about 1.8 on the trim is where she likes to run, and as you trim it up and the speed of the boat increases at about 20 miles an hour, you can feel that hydrofoil, that wing, kind of activate and lift the boat out of the water. Things start running smoother. I can back off on my throttles because now as the foil is working, it lifts the boat higher out of the water. So that's less wetted surface, less drag, so you need less engine and less RPM to get the boat running. So I'm going to trim up just a little bit more, get her in her happy medium. And now, the boat's running perfect. Right now we're at about 5,000 RPMs running 37 miles an hour. Now earlier we were offshore running in some rough stuff, and that's where you can really get a feel for how things are going to react when you're in the rough conditions, because of course when it's flat out here like this, there's nothing really major happening. But we were offshore, we were hitting some decent waves. A few times we were bringing that foil out of the water and coming down onto the next wave. Well, everything was comfortable, calm and collective. One thing I would notice is that we would come up, and as we came down on the next wave, the foil would catch the boat before it felt like the hulls were impacting the wave. So there wasn't a pound, there wasn't a big splash, or you didn't feel a lot of drag suddenly on the boat because that wing was constantly providing lift. As you do turn on this boat, you don't notice any drop in speed. The boat doesn't come off of the foil. You don't get any sudden jarring or anything. A lot of times when people are thinking about a foil boat, they may think, okay, well, whenever the boat turns, if it comes off a foil, the hulls are going to drop back down in the water, and it's going to create drag and a jolt, maybe a drop in speed drastically. But this boat does not do any of that. I really haven't found any negatives to this foil. Some people may think, okay, can the boat still go on a boat lift? Yes, it can do that. Can you still go in shallow water with the boat? Yes, you can. You can still beach this boat even with the foil. And this is no small foil. The thing is extremely wide, and it spans the entirety, the spans between the hulls, and it is very substantial. So I don't think it's an issue. I initially thought that, okay, having a foil on a boat might be questionable and I might be concerned with it. But after seeing how it's designed, I think it's really tough, and it's just solid in part of the boat, which is a good thing to see. Now let's make one more turn, and we'll notice that the boat really doesn't lean. A lot of cats, you'll find that they'll kind of lean outboard. Well, this one actually leans a little inboard, and that is because of that foil down in the water. It's really hooking up, and it's not necessarily flat all the way across, so it gives the boat some lean, which makes it feel better in the corners than a cat without a foil. I haven't noticed any learning curve or anything different on how this boat handles than a traditional cat would. But something else that is a little interesting is whenever I do turn, I almost feel a slight slide in the boat. and not a hook, which I think is actually a good thing. And the reason we have that slide is because the boat is up on foil and there's not as much hole in the water, because sometimes if you turn a cat abruptly, it can really catch and kind of throw everybody to the side. Well, I'm not finding that on this Aquila, and I really like that.
In this video of the Aquila 36, you can see the dihedral design of the carbon fiber foil, which is stronger than steel. Note there's no problem hauling it out. The foil is shaped like an airplane wing, which creates lift, and in this case, it raises the boat about 6 inches up. Our test boat has a length overall of 42 foot 10 inches, a beam of 15 foot 11 inches, and drafts 2 foot 11 inches. The test weight was estimated at 21,130 pounds with 66% of the 410 gallon fuel capacity on board and 3 passengers. The boat was powered by twin Mercury 400s turning RevX props. We found the top speed to be at 6,200 RPM, where the boat went 46.2 miles an hour. Best cruise was at 5,000 RPM, where we recorded 35.3 miles an hour, getting 0.8 miles per gallon, giving the boat a range of about 339 statute miles with a 10% fuel reserve. On our whole shot tests, the boat reached 10 miles an hour in 3.3 seconds, 20 miles an hour in 11.8, and 0 to 30 was 21.4 seconds. When I compared the performance of the Aquila 42 with several monohulls in class, I found that she's more fuel efficient than most at best cruise, she goes faster, and she continues to be relatively more fuel efficient than monohulls because of her foil.
You may not think you could pull a 42-foot cat with a foil up on the beach like this, but it does have a relatively shallow draft, so you can. All the way forward is the anchor roller. Center line, you see we have our anchor deployed as we're in this beautiful spot. We can get shallow right up on the beach. Center line, you have access to the windlass and road stores right down in there. You have a cleat in here so you can tie things off. Under this hatch, a large storage compartment and remote for the windlass. Now we open up this hatch, we can see there's quite a bit of room down here. And that's because this boat is optioned with outboards, but if it had inboards, this is where the engines would be located. As you can see, it's pretty roomy down here. Have the fresh water tank, a grab handle as you're entering, hot water heater, and then all of our electrical systems are around the boat and everything is labeled. If you come down here and need to troubleshoot something, you can do so with ease and you know what you're looking at. There's also a sea chest. Now this is good because let's say you're underway in rough seas or you're on foil, the sea chest is going to keep constant pressure to all of your raw water intakes. If you didn't have that, you may get some fluctuation in pressures and that's not always good. And this one contains a diesel generator. This is a 9 kilowatt Fisher Panda. There's also the fuel tank for that down there as well. And another sea chest. Moving forward into the salon, we find some more mechanical spaces. Just under here on the starboard side is the black water tank, electrical components all throughout, and this boat has been upgraded to the lithium battery system, but standard is AGM. I also like seeing more labels everywhere throughout. Just makes it easy to know what you're doing when you're down there trying to fix something. I was pleasantly surprised with how this boat ran, handled, and performed with that foil. Truly a joy to run this boat. Sitting here is certainly comfortable. You have twin captain seats, both with bolsters. This seat can be slid back with a simple push of a lever. I'm about 5'8", and whenever I stand here, I have good visibility, 360 degrees. Yeah, there is a large post here, but it's not significant. But one thing that I will say that is a slight hindrance in my vision are the headrests that are on the bow. But Aquila noticed that, and they're going to be changing that for future versions. Let's say you're trying to dodge crab pots, which we know there's a lot of those around when you're running. Those can block a few crab pots. On my dash, I have two 19-inch Raymarine screens, plenty of real estate there. On the left side, there are two buttons. These are to electrically lift and lower the door that allows you to access the bow. Cup holder, C-zone controller. I have a windshield wiper controls here, and then this steering wheel. In the center of it, there's a screen here And it has a few different controls around the edges. So if I touch the back of these paddles, it's actually push button controls that I can program. Let's say I wanted to be able to control my autopilot by these paddles, or turn on some lights, or maybe turn the volume up and down on the radio. I can do so, and I think it wouldn't take long for me to memorize kind of where things are right here. So this just allows you not to have to take your attention off what you're doing and the wheel in order to fidget with something. It would just become natural. Just below are controls for the windlass and the sunroof, and then controls for the engines, for the spotlight, VHF radio, very easy to access, and here I like that. And then there's a joystick here as well. All the way to my right is a wireless induction charger for your cell phone, another cup holder, and a small cubby down below, and a few USBs tucked under there too. Then just forward and below the helm is an electrical panel for 120 volt distribution, 12 volt panel with breakers, and your Fisher Panda generator controls.
That's my test and inspection of the Aquila 42 Coupe, a multi-use boat that serves as a day boat, weekender, or distance cruiser. Be sure to see our features inspection video as well. For Boat Test, I'm Captain Tripp saying life is better on a boat.